Welcome to this special session with Teacher Transition. We are so excited to have Lindsey Barlow with us. Lindsey, thank you for joining us. Yeah,
Yeah, hi, good morning.
good morning. You guys, I'm so excited to introduce Lindsey to you. She has worked at the high school level and she's done a variety of different jobs and responsibilities using her teacher skills and other skills that she has as well. So Lindsey, I'd love to just let you dive into kind of your story. Let's start with kind of where you were and what you did next, maybe a little bit of what led you there.
Okay, I was teaching, so I taught for about 10 years, between about 2000 and 2010. And I started off in K through 8, and I was the computer teacher in the school, and the kids would stream in and we would do teaching. Then I decided that I really liked this and I was going to go back and get my master's in education. So I did that, and I took it in a master's in internet technologies. So it was a master's in online learning, and at that time that was quite new. But I knew that I wanted to go into tech, so I was in a high school, and I was the instructional tech specialist in a high school, and also their webmaster, which is something that I really enjoyed, was redesigning their website. You know, at that time, it was going from, it was getting more professional for high schools to have a substantial website
Yeah,
that,
definitely.
and getting students involved. So I worked with students, and I actually learned so much. I had a student tech team that we were, we were team. I learned as much from them as they learned from me. I think the main thing I learned from them was pushing through tech blocks. They had no fear
Good.
about
Oh, that's
tech
awesome.
blocks, right? And
Different from adults.
very different from
Yeah.
adults. So that was a real, like, oh, I see. They have no fear of.
I love that you have experience all the way from K through 12, the high school level, and that you first with teaching and then you kind of advanced and learned some more, but that you had opportunity for advancement. I know a lot of teachers feel like they don't have opportunity for much advancement in different districts or wherever they're working. So that's really
Yeah,
great. So
yeah, and I
what,
yeah,
yeah.
and I think that the opportunity to be creative in that role with the webmaster stuff was kind of an outlet as well from the teaching that was
Definitely.
very kind of important to me, and kind of hinted at what was to come.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what
So
was to
tell us a little bit about that. Like what came, like how did that come about?
come. So um, I worked a lot with teachers, and I was one of my roles was to bring up the level of tech that teachers were using. So as much as I was teaching the students, I was also creating professional development for the teachers in the high school, and then the teachers in the district. And I got to the point where I worked a lot with the librarian, and we pitched some um, conferences, so education conferences. So we did a few sessions in our local Massachusetts computer user educators conference. So that was really good. And for the district, I designed some graduate level courses for other teachers in the district.
Okay, let
But
me pause you for a second. Did you, for those conferences that you held, were you charging for those for attendees, or it was just kind of a
well,
service?
no, the whole Massachusetts Computer User Educators is a big organization.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
they would do an annual conference every year, and we just applied to do a session, like an hour
Excellent.
session,
Yeah.
showing what we did. So
Not That's some of the first things that I did. So
really,
for those teachers that are listening in, just sometimes new opportunities very often start by being incubated in the current opportunities that you're in, and
absolutely,
presenting at conferences is huge. So yeah, it's a great way to network and just expand your vision of what's out there and what you can do. And then people are like, wow, look at her mad skills or his mad skills, and then they want you, and it's really great. So
Yes.
yeah.
And the
Okay, so
thing,
let's, yes, please.
the other, at that time, this was kind of 2007, 2008, 2009, and you know, Twitter was like the TikTok of that time, you know, and I would be networking, so personal networking through social media with other teachers around the world. So I would, I would just post, oh, I'm teaching, we're doing geography today and we're doing Colorado. And then I would get so many people from other teachers saying, oh, we did this, we tried this. So networking on social media with other teachers was very helpful, because being the instructional tech in a high school, finding people who were higher on that level and writing books and doing their own thing, was just seeing what they were doing was very empowering. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just seeing
Oh,
what's out there. So networking in the education community, but wider than just your school or district, was new. It was,
yeah.
that was really important.
I think especially, a lot of the teachers in our courses and things, they want to progress, and sometimes that cannot necessarily fit in the mold of
Yeah,
maybe a traditional teacher that is really content with things as they currently are in their classroom and whatnot. And so
yeah,
yeah, being able to connect with someone beyond their school building that's also heading in a similar trajectory is incredibly helpful. So I completely
yeah,
understand that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what led you to stepping beyond a school building? Like, or yeah, what were those next steps in becoming a trainer first?
Well, I left the school setting. I had some health issues that were going to take, 6 to 8 months for me to deal with. And I don't know whether that was anything to do with the school or the stress. It was just timing. And looking back on it, it was like, yes, that was kind of a break that I needed to take. Um, but because of those connections outside of the district, I was still kind of talking to these people and connecting with more people. So while I was doing that, I was still kind of building my own personal kind of network online, and watching opportunities and watching what people did. So I took a good 8 months to a year kind of break for myself, health wise. And as much as that was difficult, it was also um, a great space in which to figure out what I was going to do next. Because so what it turned out was that through some connections, I went to become it was part-time, so that I still had time I always had this vision that I would be, I could do more than I was doing. I like the web tech stuff. And prior to teaching, I'd been in marketing. So I always watched how people marketed themselves, and that was so interesting to me. So I managed to get a training position. I was teaching people who were long-term unemployed through the state of New Hampshire. They had a training program, so that I would teach one-on-one, and it was adults, and I would see them maybe 4 times a week for a few hours. And I would be bringing up their tech skills to a level that they could go back into the workplace and find work. So from teaching K through 8 to high school and teaching teachers, I then was teaching adults one-to-one. And that program was so good, because it made me, I wasn't just teaching them tech. We were doing a lot of work kind of underneath in terms of what they thought was possible for themselves, their mindset and confidence with tech and that type of thing. So I loved that job. That was so fun. And actually, it was it was compared to teaching in a classroom and having to come up with different lesson plans all the time. Teaching one-on-one, kind of a long program, seeing the development, seeing them find a job, it was just as satisfying because it did change. A lot of them were women whose circumstances were changing. You know, they for some reason they had been long-term unemployed, and it really made a difference for their families and their children. So I did have guilt leaving the education system, I have to say, because I went into it because I wanted to teach and I wanted to teach kids. So you do have a little bit of separation anxiety, you know, from that. But that software training was really helpful. So what happened in that was that, oh, we need a course for social media. Lindsey, can you come up with some curriculum for that social media course? And I'm like, sure. Do you want me to do it this afternoon? You know, it's just, and then they was like, well, they're asking us if we can teach Adobe products. Can you come up with a curriculum for that? So it came to be that I could kind of rewrite my own kind of internal resume, but my own external resume in terms of, okay, so I am developing curriculum. I've developed curriculum for graduate level courses. And I also have those tech skills, and then I have that marketing background. So this software training was part-time, thankfully, and it gave me a chance to, you know, some people who knew me, I just started, you know, doing some work for an academic. She needed some tech work done. And then on Facebook, I would meet people. I would meet people in the Thinkific group.
Mm-hmm.
And people were asking for help, and I would just help where I could. And then I got a client through that. She became a long-term client, and she was one of those clients that had a business and was transitioning her business to online, building an online arm of her business. So, and she didn't have the time to do it. She just wanted to hire someone to do it. And that left me the freedom. She's, you know, you love your clients just as much as you love your students.
Yes, yes. And it's good for teachers to hear, you know, different jobs are
Yeah,
not as if you are not working with people, you
right,
know. So often, like the teacher guilt that you mentioned, it's people can be like, well, am I giving up on
right,
society if I'm
right.
not
If I'm
teaching
not in the
a child?
classroom,
And it's like
right,
you're teaching children, they're just grown-up children, and they're still
right,
members of society, and they're still people, and they still need to be cared for and looked after, and you
yeah.
know.
And they have families. So when they build their skills, and this site that I was building was a site for. She was a therapist, and she had 4 or 5 therapy practices, and she was putting a lot of her workshops that she was doing one-on-one online. So that's helping people too.
That's so good. And I know a lot of teachers worry about, am I going to be lonely? You know, and it's like, no, sometimes it's just healthy to not be working in a fishbowl or, you know,
Right.
just different circumstances. And you contribute in the world in different ways at different times, different seasons.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that's so good to hear. I love hearing kind of the natural progression of things and how, you know, connections helped lead to those next opportunities.
Yeah.
Sometimes when teachers hear the word trainer, you know, different thoughts come to mind. Being a corporate trainer, standing in front of people, having a facilitator guide, having a manual. But I also know some of the teachers in our course are interested in working remotely from home part-time. And it sounds like, is that the setting that you did that training job? You know, I'm sure some people listening are like, that's a teacher job. Like that
Right.
was teaching, you know? And it's like, yes, the words are synonymous. So I think it's
It's
really important.
yes, it's very much that and that's when I was, you know, you're developing your own like personal resume. It's kind of internal and and you could write it out. Is that you just it's different language for different settings.
Yes.
It's instructional design. It's teaching. It's curriculum development. So depending on who you're talking to, they understand different language, but the skills inside that language, you've got you've got those,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that teachers don't realize how much they do on the fly. You're writing curriculum as you're teaching the class, and it's the third class coming through, and you're tweaking things that
Yeah.
you at 9 o'clock in the morning you did one way, and you think, oh, I need to do it this way because I need more faces going, oh, right. You know, so you're constantly tweaking, as to the point where as a teacher, sometimes you don't realize that you have those skills and other people don't have
That's
it,
so true. That's
right?
so true.
You know, so
Yeah, I know that you have some kind of behind the scenes things that you're going to share with our course members. But before that, just in general, if you were to give like 2 tips of advice to a transitioning teacher, if it's mindset things or if it's, well, actually, before that, can you just share with our audience, how would they know if they're a good fit for a training position? Or how would they know if they're a good fit for kind of the educational consultant slash instructional design slash online course creator consultant that, you help online course creators now
right.
have fantastic courses. So for teachers who are listening to this, could you share with them how they can identify if they are a good fit for any of those roles?
I think that while I was teaching, I still had these like daydreams, visions, you know, not visions, but like
Yeah.
I had these ideas that I wanted to pursue. And I couldn't, just because of time and my job, but I was always had this um, entrepreneurial kind of ideas of how I wanted to work. And that, they just never went away. You know, it was just always there. And I was always looking for something a little bit extra and above what I was doing. So if you have those kind of feelings and you're looking for something more than what it is, then I think that um, it's worth pursuing. It's, you
Excellent.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
it's worth exploring those ideas and those, because the opportunities nowadays are just, yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And more than, it's not just a work opportunity, it's really an opportunity to invest in your skills and your gifts and your
Mm-hmm.
talents and your interests and kind of self-care as far as caring for like who you are on the inside
Yes.
and all the ability and yeah, gifts
Yeah.
that anyway, so much. Gifts you've been
Yeah.
given as well as gifts that you've cultivated and that you're going to continue to grow. So I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just would that be the tips that you'd leave for teachers or anything else as far as tips for transitioning teachers?
I think also that it's like, look at your skills in terms of try and just look at the language that you put around your skills, and just have confidence that you bring a lot in teaching. Well, you're always being professionally developed. You know, it's always something that is part of the certification and everything. You have to continue to be professionally developed, and I feel that um, sometimes you don't give yourself enough credit for the skills that you do have, in terms that can be translated into the work that you have to do a consultant. You have people skills, you have project management skills. All of those things are available to you, but you've never really had a label put on them, or applied for a job with those in the description, so that you've never actually maybe consciously said, oh yeah, I do have those
That's great. And in our course,
skills.
we kind of have teacher translator tools so they can see, here are these words and here's how we say it in the corporate world to kind of
Yeah.
help with that. But that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
So true. Okay. Well, thank you for all of this. Lindsey, your advice has been invaluable,
Thank
showing us the
you.
behind the scenes of your roadmap that I'm sure you've developed over time and
Yeah.
just sharing your experience and taking your skills from the classroom to other teachers, to other people in society, and everything that you do now. Thank you for sharing your examples,
Oh, you're
your
welcome.
expertise, and just everything with our audience. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody. I think
Thank you.
it's great fun.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, also, if for those teachers who would like to connect with you,
right.
would you like them? How would you like them to reach out to you?
Okay, so I like to connect online. So I'm Claire Lindsey Learning is my Instagram and my Facebook page. So you can find me if you just look Claire Lindsey Learning, and you'll find me. Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah,
Okay.
we'll follow back.
There. Thank you. Thanks for your
Thanks.
comments. And they are just, yeah, everyone appreciates this. So thank you so much, Lindsey.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.